Well, this lighting console, affectionately known as Betty, was sort of invented about 1956, and it spent most of its life in one of the London theatres, ending it doing Jesus Christ Superstar for 8 years at the end of Shaftesbury Avenue. It is no use whatsoever to any lighting designer from novice to expert, because the way it works is totally and utterly alien. And as you can guess, the top half of this is from Compton organs. And if you're in a church or a theatre or a cinema organ, then you'll recognise those. Here, they're being used effectively as on-off switches for the circuits on the thing. These faders, on the other hand, there is no direct connection whatsoever to the dimmers. So there's the simple thing of grabbing a fader and shoving it and a light coming on isn't part of the design of this desk. And that really, really phases people. The idea is, and to be honest, I got this wrong when I first figured out how it was working, was that this was one big preset. But it's not. What you would do is, the first time that channel 1 comes on in your show, you set the level, 7 like in this case. Channel 2 might not be used until Act 2, but if you set it to number 5, it's a half brightness, eventually. So these switches up here, when you select 1, now you've got a dimmer level, 0.7, you've got the thing turned on. When you actually want to run that cue, there's a button down here that says raise. Well, we've got raise, move and dim. In simplified terms, I mean, they're go buttons where you can split the ups and the downs. Hit the button and things will happen. Now the problem is, the dimmers in your dimmer room are run from a whacking great big 3-phase electric motor that spins shafts and drives chains to old-fashioned resistance dimmers. And although we call it Betty, its real name is a CD120, 120 channels, clutch dimmers. And like on your car, when you hit the go button, the clutch grabs hold of the bar that it's attached to, which drives the dimmers up. A clutch on the other side will drive others down. The upshot is, everything on this desk is pretty much a fast fade. Now, on a theatre organ, there's a pedal down here, which, if it was an organ, that's a swell pedal, and we're making it go louder or quieter. Well, on here, that pedal is connected to a series of lights, and that's how you adjust the speed of your cue. Couple of seconds-ish on the fastest, about 30 seconds or so on the slowest. A lady came through yesterday and said she used this on Oklahoma, and the director insisted on a 5-minute fade to a sunset. Now that is not a feature of this desk. It was never designed to be able to do 5 minutes. So there is a button under here that says motor stop. So to do your 5-minute fade would need to have your foot turning the motor off, and you can jog it up and down to make your 5-minute fade actually a sequence of little jerks downwards. Loads of things. Apparently, it was not the most reliable lighting control in the world. The label on the top of the desk up here, it actually says, "My name is Betty, treat me gently and I will behave myself." And apparently that's because if you didn't treat her gently, she would not behave. And quite a few of the operators of these reported that the favourite reason for things going wrong was sticky tabs. And I asked the guys, were they really sticky? He went, no, they weren't, they were fine. He said it was always operator error. Because the one thing this desk cannot do is go backwards. If you make a mistake, you are completely stuck, because there's no direct repair job that you can do on a fader. You would have to select it, match a level, and then tell the dimmer to go down. So I don't think I would ever like to use this on a show. We've got here a cue sheet from the 70s, and in the whole of Jesus Christ Superstar, it goes to about Q90. But if you try and recreate this, as I did yesterday, you need more than 4 limbs. So you've got a speed control, you've got some of these knobs here that are duplicated underneath on the organ. So you need 2 feet and 2 hands. The other thing of interest is it does have a button on here that's labelled REM dim. Now every lighting desk has got a REM dim button. When this was brand new, that button didn't exist. It was not thought necessary.
Did that further.
It was not thought necessary, so it was fitted as a retro. So quite a few things have been added over the years. It also appears that virtually every one of these was slightly different. There is no common circuit diagram for them. They're all basically similar, but some of them appear to have been split to allow 2 operators to work at the same time. So these buttons, to a large degree, are split that side and this side, but quite a few of them are also cross-wired, so one operator can adjust those, which doesn't seem to be the case with every theatre that had them. The Wyndhams one, for example, didn't work like this, and these colour-coded tabs are not on every disc. Quite a lot of them have just got ordinary plain white. Many people apparently red, green and blue tabs. Well, if they were running battens were notoriously dim, and so the concept of red, green and blue like we know it today didn't exist. It would probably have been a pink, it might have been a very sky blue, and green, well, that's pantomime, isn't it? That's the wicked fairy in a pantomime. So most times the green ones may have been replaced by yellow or something different, and then someone will put a little yellow sticker on to remind you. So this is incredibly interesting, incredibly complicated, and on today's way of working a show, totally impossible to use. I really love it, but I would not want to be the operator. I think I'd quite like to be the boss, but I definitely would not want to operate it, because after doing that 90 cues in there, I think I'd need a holiday. It does have, quite oddly for something that was built in 1956, a sort of memory. I've got to be careful how I say it, because it doesn't memorise light intensity. It memorises groups. That's probably the best way to look at it. There are 14 pistons on here. Now, each one of these will turn on or off combinations of circuits that are going to be active. But you can actually store them yourself. If you do the mathematics, it's about 2 kilobytes as an equivalent of memory, but it's mechanical memory. And it's run by solenoids, relays, and little strips of Paxilin that pop up and down in a frame. And to actually program it, there's a stud underneath here, labelled presetter. You would hold that down, there's a nice clunk comes from the rear. Anything you set on here can then be memorised. And the process would be hit the stud, push number 1, and that will go into the memory, which doesn't work properly for us. It's not the control's fault. We made the fatal mistake of assuming it was a fault. This is a couple of the tabs. I mean, essentially it's 2 solenoids, but when those solenoids operate, it takes about, well, just over half an amp, but there's 120 of them. So a big change to those tabs might draw 60 amps from your power supply. When we first started, we were running on a power supply that could manage about 15, and instead of actually giving you a nice clean change, some of them would just tremble a bit, and others would just not even bother to move, which we thought was a fault. And it was only when we realised the current demand, we were able to actually fix that. We're now up to about 35 amps, so we can manage reliably about half of them. The other thing is, if you think about a piano keyboard, there's a nice piece of felt under every tab. So because it's been stored with a lot of these down, over the years that felt has compressed and it's really hard. So a lot of them, when they go down, they hit the hard felt and bounce back up again. So I don't think the blame for that can be blamed on Betty at all. It's human error that's done that. Nobody realised there's a bit of felt. But the worst thing is, the screws for these are done from underneath. So you have to take the lid off, and there's not enough slack in the looms, so you have to unsolder everything and remove the whole lot to get to level 2. And if you want to do some repairs on that one, all of that and all of that has to come out. So the person who invented it, I suspect, was an engineer, not a lighting man. I mean, we talk a lot about Fred Bentham, the strand guru, the man who must be obeyed. And I suspect he didn't initially have much of a hand in this, because some of the features that in his books he tells us he loves, this didn't do. And that was an afterthought. So we're pretty confident that this was an engineering marvel that many of the lighting people said, why doesn't it do that? And then it was fitted afterwards. So beautiful bit of kit.
And what during plotting, and it was a similar sort of thing on the PR, which is this without that. That after your initial state, and then you work up the next state, what I tended to do, and most people tended to do, is just knock down the key, or on a PR, the 3-position move switch, just so at the end of however long you could see how many you have moved, and you thought, no, this is going to be a whole new preset, not just an ad. So that was just a memory, really. So it wasn't necessarily that you were going to record it as such.
So if you were plotting,
Yeah.
is your thinking that you start from a state and then everything after that is a change?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we get to the situation where every now and again you're changing so much. Come on, time to go on the other preset. Of course, you don't have another preset here because there's only a single preset one.
Yeah. But I think, so how do you, because I'm imagining, because if I'm right, this thing was I've learned. So this is controlling whether the light's actually going to move or not, regardless of what this is set to. Is that right or wrong?
No. I mean, this you might very well disregard altogether.
Okay.
And you could just be resetting the faders and then getting on with the next cue.
But fundamentally, whatever you do here, it won't happen as long as you're not running the motor on the difference.
Correct.
Which is the pedal. I think that works if you try it. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell him I met you.
Maximum velocity. So therefore, which we're talking about, going backwards is really, or setting back in a show is really hard.
It could be, hence doing the master plot.
Master plot.
But of course, you didn't really have time to do that at the time it was being plotted. Where of course you're always being hassled. Come on, are we ready for the next one? Hang on. I mean, we certainly, when I was at the New on a PR, I mean, that was all laboriously handwritten. And I mean, there wasn't even a sort of a photocopied grid, which is something I've been used to at the Bristol Vic. And in fact, they were even using and plotting the full circuit description, like dips, orange, not just 1 to 134, but
calling by name.
Pattern 3 green.
Okay.
And it took, of course, the new young lad, having come from the provinces, we didn't know anything, of course. So the chief. No, Bill's been around a long time. He knows a thing or two. Because the director wants to know that, for instance, if it's float spot 3, it's float spot 3. I said, but actually float spot 3 is doing a chandelier. You know, it was that sort of.
The interface.
But I didn't get my own way on the next show, which was Jorrocks. I did, but thereafter I did actually win, and we did a straightforward one to 134.
But presumably also the way you plug the show up is important, because you can't crossfade on the same motor, same shaft. Is that right? Or you can you reverse on the same shaft?
Yes. But bearing in mind that each, because of the Wheatstone Bridge circuit between the fader here and the fader on the sunset dimmer, you ought to get a sunset dimmer with.
They're working on that.
Good.
They're all buried in the middle of BBC Elstree, in the middle of the EastEnders set, but there's a project happening.
Well, you know, just a few to show the two electromagnetic clutches. So, depending on this relative to the fader that's mechanically linked to the sunset dimmer, decides whether the up clutch or the down clutch goes on. So yeah, you can.
You can crossfade, okay.
Oh yeah.
Is there ever, even running lights desks don't like saying no to designers. Is there ever a point you got to on a show where you were like, I don't actually know how to do this on here, you can't do this on here? Or do you just invent a way?
Well, you try and invent a way. You don't like to be beaten by anything. But you might say, I'm struggling, give me a few minutes. You know, I mean, because, you know, there are more ways of doing things. And, you know, the way in which you use the pistons, for instance, to cut down on presetting time, you might just be... perhaps you've got a dozen level changes, and you might do those on a separate piston.
Okay. So what do you mean? Explain to me what you mean by that. Because I think I haven't quite understood what these do properly.
Right. These select to, and that by the way would give you the level intensity, the second touch on that. So you could, for instance, run up a whole set of dimmers blacked out, so that you've selected which ones are on that piston, and you've run them up under blackout.
Okay.
And then just do the
so turn them on, chip them on,
just chip on, yeah.
Okay.
Or you know, you might, for instance, I mean, if you did the REM dim there, everything that's not selected with dim.
So select on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, REMDIM is the thing I use with the students with this, because I go, that but still exists on that desk.
Yes.
That desk.
Yeah.
It's part of our language.
Yeah.
Through time. Even though we've lost all of this ability to. The thing I miss is the ability to mix light, which we can't do anymore. Nobody can do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because they've all value engineered it out. It's really sad.
It's so you could, for instance, with those selected, that would just raise those circuits on whichever ones are selected, which you might have done manually. You know, you don't have to be doing them on the.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, you might just be doing them manually. So, right here.
Oh, so those are groups.
It's all coming back now. See, this
Yeah. So that's all of those.
Yeah. Well, that would. Yeah. Well, all the ones selected. That's
okay.
the relevant thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And likewise on these. But,
What
but
did these? So that's the same thing for just changing. So
that means just changing to the next
okay.
preset level. So if you might be moving them all, or you might just be moving the selected ones.
Okay. And then how often? So I hear about the dimmers that would stick. How often would the dimmers mechanically stick? Somebody have to go hit them with a hammer.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can remember a single instant.
Maybe that came years later when they was all a bit older.
Well, I do remember I was at the New for the last week of Oliver,
Wow. Okay.
and I remember my chief Strand came in to do a service, and my chief was rather proud of the fact that, well, of course, this is the first time we've needed you in 6.5 years. And I thought, well, actually, you should have done it every year.
It's because you didn't do it.
But I said I had 3 years at Bristol, then a couple of years in London. I don't remember a dimmer sticking ever. I really don't.
So did you use the little organ, the light console at Bristol?
No, it was a PR.
Okay.
It was a PR 72, and actually it was much more flexible than that. The photograph I sent to the PR at the New, because they still have things like row masters which are irrelevant really,
Okay.
and on the PR. But that PR at the New was the first one. It replaced an almost identical looking electronic, because there was an electronic there.
Oh, it's the Woody. That was the one that blew up all the names.
Yeah,
I
and
know about that.
and the thing was, they were incredibly expensive, the Theatrecrafts parts, and so they muddled their way around.
Well, they messed up the neutral.
Yeah.
They messed up they overloaded the neutral.
But they. So I can't remember what the show was. I mean, Bill Bruce, who was the chief, did tell me, but so someone very unreasonably wanted to actually use all 134 ways.
Those
And half of them were wildly, Sir Bronson Albee, bluish tops all the way, and they, and that was when, in a great rush, the PR, which looks identical to the centre console.
We've got a PR.
And the two preset.
Yeah, we have a PR. Bring it one year. Have you come to the White Light Museum? You should come to White Light in Wimbledon.
Well,
Where we have this little museum upstairs where there's the Drury Lane light console there and various other things.
Oh,
a day out.
I must do that.
I'm happy to come and be your tour guide.
Oh, okay.
And then, so making a show on this, because presumably, so this is in the day still when you're then spending all night lighting, no cast, nothing. Okay.
All day, all night.
All day, all night.
Well, it used to get to the point when we got, well, perhaps you'd stop at 3 or 4 a.m. or whatever time it was, and they say, and I think we had the choice. Either have been paid at your double time rate until the time of first public transport, or the cost of a taxi home. And you were busy calculating which was the best deal. I lived in Bands Green in North London. How much was a taxi?
There's things that they tell you about. That's just a key light?
Yeah.
You know what this is?
We certainly didn't have one of these, so this must have been a mod. We certainly didn't have we had Q lights external.
And that I think must be colour, well, it says the label says colour changes.
Oh yeah, that's straightforward. 74 colour changes, yeah.
So how many shows did you do on these?
I on the CD, I only did the one because, of course, we had it was still running when I left, and in fact I didn't plot it, I operated it, but I think the chief plotted it, Fred Ward, but then I operated it for the...
So was there a standard way that everybody, because this is Jesus Christ Superstar from this show, we think. Can you decode that? or is it like unique to each person?
Oh, so yeah, look, he's just doing an ad there.
Okay.
So that's just a. And I'm using the all move.
Okay.
Yeah. Here he's
He's adding
actually
it on top.
he's here he's doing that's a completely new preset.
Okay.
Right.
Down everything, apart from those ones.
Yeah. Except. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. But this was actually came with this.
Yeah. This is the
right.
one. This is the original one.
Yeah.
This is from the Palace.
Yeah.
So it ran Superstars from whenever it opened, 72, I think, to 1980.
Well, that's a reasonably tidy setup, plotting wise. We tended to do ads or masters. A master is clear down, reset from scratch. An ad is exactly that.
Right.
But then, yes, we decide, when you are plotting, after you had so many changes, we'll make it a new master. But obviously, if it's just sort of half a dozen, it might very well be could be worth doing on a piston, just moving those. But
It's easy now, eh? You just press the record button. And the kids think it's hard.
Very boring. Yeah.
Well, there is that. It's a whole other thing. Thank you, Keith. That's an amazing thing.
You're very, very welcome. Yes.